Hey, everybody who's joined so far, thank you. And hang in a few. We're going to let the stragglers come in and we'll get going in probably 2 minutes or so. All right, I think we got a pretty good number here, and let's get going. Good evening, everybody, and welcome. Thanks for joining us tonight. I am Mark Conley from Lookout Santa Cruz, and we are proud to host this forum as part of Affordable Housing Month. It's being put on and moderated by local coalition, Housing Santa Cruz County, which has a stated goal of making Santa Cruz County affordable for all. That goal meshes well with Lookout's goal, which is to make this county a better place for all who live here. First off, of course, there needs to be more housing so a greater number of people can actually afford to live here. So this will serve as an important check-in with all of our local constituencies. Many of you probably know the name Don Lane, besides being the man who helped bring the fabulous Saturn Cafe into our world for so many years. Don was Santa Cruz mayor on 3 different occasions. While he was always focused on affordable housing, his focus has sharpened greatly in recent years, and it has for many other local leaders too, because it's had to. This county is woefully behind in meeting its housing needs, and there's little time to waste in catching up. If you haven't read Don's column written for Lookout's new opinion section called Community Voices, I highly recommend it. I'll put the link in the comments section, which is also where you can put any questions you have for the folks who are going to be speaking tonight. Grace Stetson, our affordable housing reporter, is going to help me monitor questions for some short follow-up at the end. I'm going to hand off to Don, who is chair of the governing board of Housing Santa Cruz County, volunteers on the board of directors of Housing Matters, and was the chair of the governing board of the Homeless Action Partnership in 2021. He is joined by Diana Alfaro, who is project manager with Mid-Penn Housing and a founding member and current vice chair of Housing Santa Cruz County. Take it away, Don and Diana.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Diana. Housing Santa Cruz County is a coalition of more than 40 organizations and hundreds of individuals representing the full diversity of our county. And our mission is to ensure that Santa Cruz County is an inclusive, thriving, just, diverse, and sustainable community by promoting affordable, safe, stable homes for local residents and local workers. We work toward this mission largely through advocacy and community education. Tonight's event, as you know, is part of Affordable Housing Month, a series of educational and celebratory events facilitated by our organization. In addition to that, another part of our work is to shine a light on local officials' work on housing, to ensure accountability to the community. Tonight, we shine that light on our 5 local governments plus UC Santa Cruz, so we can observe their work on the housing affordability challenge we face and monitor that work in the months ahead.
So we invited both an elected leader and a professional staff person from each jurisdiction because we want to understand their political commitment and larger goals, and also have the opportunity to hear some of the details that a staff person might offer. We also invited UCSC to the panel because they are the largest provider of housing in our county and the largest local economic engine generating the need for housing. Each jurisdiction will have up to 9 minutes to present, and we will be keeping time. You can see on the screen the questions that we've asked the panelists, or I hope you can see the questions soon. How has your jurisdiction done in the recent past to address affordable housing needs for the people of Santa Cruz County? What is coming up? What is in the policy or project pipeline in your jurisdiction for the near future? And your jurisdiction will be completing a housing element soon to create opportunity sites to meet our region's housing needs. What will that process look like in your community, and how will community members be involved in that process?
A few very quick guidelines for our participants. Please keep yourself muted unless you're part of our speaking program and it's your turn to speak. We have scheduled a little time for questions at the end after we get our presentations completed. So use that chat function to type in a question if you have one. And as you probably know, we're recording this both so others can view it later and we can all check back later in the year and see how our officials are progressing on this work.
So let's dive right in. The first step is our largest jurisdiction in the county of Santa Cruz. And with us tonight, we have Supervisor Manu, who was elected to the Board of Supervisors in 2020 and is passionate about the intersection of housing and sustainability. Before being elected, he worked for numerous tech startups, including founding Civinomics, where he gained a background in polling and survey research. Suzanne Issei is a principal planner of the housing division of the county's community development and infrastructure department, and previously worked for UCSC, Capitola, Watsonville, and Sunnyvale. And after graduating from UCSC and the University of Massachusetts in Amherst with degrees in environmental studies and regional planning. So with that, Manu and Suzanne, take it away.
Thank you.
Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Don. Suzanne, I think you're going to pull up the slides, right? All right, great.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
Everybody see that?
Yep, looks good. All right, let's go to the next slide. So as Diana said, we are the largest jurisdiction in the county of Santa Cruz, is the county itself, of course. We estimate that about half of the population in the county actually lives in the unincorporated area. That's part of the quirks that occurred because of Prop 13 that really made it unattractive for cities to expand. And as a result, the county is in many ways the largest city in the county as well. And so between the city of Santa Cruz there in the north and past Capitola into Aptos, we have what's called an urban services line. So Live Oak is part of that, Pleasure Point, Soquel, and Aptos. And so that makes up a really significant portion of the urban area of the county. And I'm going to talk about some of our recent accomplishments, our pipeline of housing, and then how you can get involved. Next slide. So starting with some of the policy accomplishments that we've had recently, and I can't take credit for these first few, but Suzanne certainly can as our principal planner in housing. So on workforce housing, we have made it easier for farm worker housing to be built in agricultural zones, as well as for our workforce housing to be built on public facilities zones. That includes a lot of property that the county owns, as well as property like church property that might be zoned public facility.
Papa,
Yeah.
could you do me a favor? Run in and get me a piece of toilet paper.
Oh, sorry, I think that was, if everyone could just mute there. I don't need to Here, who needs toilet paper? All right, so moving right along. One of the most significant policies I would say that was passed recently, and this was back in 2018, was the affordability density bonus. This was thanks to the creative minds at the Housing Advisory Committee that first brought this forward and got it implemented back in 2018. And it's made a big difference. It basically gives an extra number of units if you build more low-income units. So it's a direct incentive for developers. And just so if you build, the county requires that you build 15% low-income units or affordable units. And this density bonus says that if you build 20%, then you can get up to a 35% density bonus. That's pretty significant, and it has resulted in additional floors for some developments. And also it comes with the ability to get some waivers on other restrictions. So whether that's parking or the county still has a 50-50 requirement for mixed use projects. So 50% commercial, 50% housing. And the affordability density bonus allows you to increase that to a 2-to-1 ratio. So essentially 2 housing units per 1 unit of commercial. Of course, that's really essential given where the commercial real estate market is today and the difficulty of borrowing for commercial construction. So I would say this affordability density bonus is probably the most significant thing the county has accomplished in housing policy and in the recent past, and you see a lot of projects taking advantage of it. We also made it a little bit more restrictive as far as the below market rate units that are required in development. So that 15% that I mentioned, which is established by Measure J, a voter passed initiative, we have made the default that those units be built on site rather than developers paying an in lieu fee. And if developer does want to pay the in lieu fee instead, then they have to get that approved by the Board of Supervisors. Of course, along with all the efforts at the state, we've made a big effort at the county to streamline ADU construction. We recently at the board reaffirmed our commitment to making it easier to build ADUs by updating the ADU fee waiver program. In the past, we've waived all fees, permit fees associated with building an ADU for ADUs of 640 square feet or less. And just with, I believe it was at our March 10th meeting, or sorry, May 10th meeting, increased that to all ADUs 750 square feet or less, aligning with a lot of other state incentives and laws as well. So now all permit fees will be raised for ADUs of 750 square feet or less. We've also seeing that there's a lot of interest in building ADUs, but not always a lot of know-how. We've are creating a new program that will essentially help coach moderate income families or low income families in the development of an ADU. Also eligible would be homeowners who want to build an ADU for a moderate or low income family. With the CZU recovery policies, we really tried, we did everything we could to learn from other counties affected by fire like Sonoma. And so we stood up a one-stop shop CZU recovery center in the basement of the county building. And we also hired Four Leaf as a contractor to help us process those permits faster. In many ways, this was sort of the prototype for our unified permit center, which we're rolling out really at the beginning of the next fiscal year. And we're also trying to make that a one-stop shop. It involves the combination of the Public Works Department as well as the Planning Department. We've actually merged those now into the Community Development and Infrastructure Department. And we're literally bringing down the walls between those departments. So instead of someone trying to get a permit and saying, county staff telling them, oh, that, that's not a planning issue, that's a public works issue. You need to go next door, and vice versa. Public works saying, oh, well, you need to go to talk to planning. Really, it'll be a seamless experience from the applicant's perspective. As I said, we're trying to learn as much as possible from the recovery, CZU Recovery Center. and integrate that into the Unified Permit Center, including even hiring some contractors to help clear out the backlog of permits so that we can start from square one. And we're also moving to a fully digital process or piece of software called Camino to track the permitting process. So we'll really know, exactly if people are getting hung up, exactly where that's happening. We'll have better data as far as the total time it's taking for people to get through the process, how many applications are complete when they're submitted to begin with. So we're making sure we're setting the right expectations for new applicants and a lot more. So this is going to be an essential part of us holding ourselves accountable. As far as actual projects that are in the queue, of course, 17th and Capitola Road with 57 units of affordable housing is a big one. We just broke ground on the housing portion of that, a couple of weeks ago now. That was really exciting. And with our partners MidPen and a lot of other folks there. There'll also be, I think 42 of those units will be reserved for live work units in the county, or for people who live and work in the county. Pippin 2 is a large housing project just outside of Watsonville, also with MidPen, that's been in development for some years, which we've finally entitled. Rodeo Creek Court is with Habitat for Humanity, 11 units on Harper Street, which some of the units are open now and more coming on soon. And then, of course, $16 million in COVID rent relief has been distributed. Unfortunately, not all of it, but as much as possible, and we continue to distribute that. Next slide, please. I think I talked about most of this, so next slide. With my remaining time, I really want to talk about the sustainability update. This is the largest change to the county's general plan in 25 years, and there's a lot of changes to our county code to go along with it. You'll hear the city of Santa Cruz talk later, and their downtown plan in many ways set the stage for the over 2,000 units they have in the pipeline today. I think the sustainability update is going to do the same for the county, and particularly those areas within the urban services line. So both in the first district and in the second district. Couple other things I'll touch on. We are in the process of implementing a tiny homes on wheels ordinance. The Planning Commission will be hearing that in the next month or two. We also expect to address SB 9 implementation. And the housing element, of course, once the sustainability update's done, we plan to get that done this year. And then we'll take on the housing element in 2023. And hopefully we'll have a lot more tools to actually put all the units assigned to us by the state actually on our zoning map, thanks to the sustainability update and some increased zoning densities. So for example, in there is the residential flex zone, which would be created. And that would bring the base density in the county from 17 units as much as up to 45 units per acre. Suzanne, do you want to talk about this part?
Sure. So you can see here on this slide the areas that are currently part of the proposed rezoning to create some new opportunity sites, which is part of our sustainability update package. All of this information is available currently on our website at the link you can see here. All the draft documents, which includes amendments to the general plan, the county's zoning codes, new design guidelines, as well as several amendments to the county's zoning and general plan maps, which is basically to add the properties you see here to this newly created residential flex district. We're very excited about this new, what we're calling the Res Flex district. Sounds very hip. It allows densities. It's intended to create sites for multifamily housing, and the density range that will be allowed in this district, if these amendments are approved, is 22 through up to 45 units an acre. Now that reflects the base densities that will be allowed, and of course, the density bonus will still be available, so you could apply for density bonuses on top of that range. And the idea is the areas here are along a transportation corridor, and this area was part of the Pleasure Point visioning plan that was done several years back that sort of serves as a precursor for this sustainability update, at least with respect to the area of Pleasure Point and parts of Live Oak. And so the proposed upzoning in this area is basically fulfilling the vision that was created with that Pleasure Point visioning plan. In
Suzanne,
addition, this additional property.
Suzanne, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but our time is pretty much up. If you can just in the next sentence or two wrap up, that'd be great.
Okay, sure. Sure. Well, the main message we want to share with everybody is we really encourage everybody to get involved and join us and send us your comments on the draft documents for the sustainability update. This is super important to set the foundation for our next housing element update.
Great.
Just
All right, thank you so much. And I know there's so much information y'all
Mhm.
have to share, so I know we're not going to get to everything that we would like to, but and we'll get to questions at the end. Thank you so much, Manu and Suzanne. Next, we welcome the team from Watsonville. Ari Parker has served on the Watsonville City Council since 2018 and is currently serving as mayor. And Mayor Parker has served as a teacher in the Pajaro Valley for more than 30 years. She also volunteers as a board member of Independence Square, which is an affordable housing apartment complex for seniors and persons with disabilities. And she's joined by Carlos Landaveri and Susie Merriam, who lead the housing efforts at the staff level. Susie's the director of community development, and Carlos is the housing manager, both for the city of Watsonville. Welcome.
Thank you. Gee whiz, I could have given you so much more. But no, but I'll start my timer because as a teacher, I always ask the kids to do it. So we have two gurus here, Susie, of course, and Carlos, who tend to teach all of our new city council folks all the ins and outs and of what's going on. So I want to give great credit to them as we move through this. And also, you know, any errors I make, I want to give great credit to them as well. So we're going to start with the city of Watsonville, and we'll continue. We, for those that are not very familiar with Watsonville, we're a population of about 52,000 people, 83% Latino, with a low number of college graduates, a high percentage of young people, and a growing number of seniors. Between 2019 and 2022, the median income has increased from 53,000 to 61,000, and the senior population has slightly increased from 10.2 to 10.8%. We're 6.25 square miles. Our young population is stable. We have to constantly keep in mind with our housing that we are a small footprint. We have 14,655 dwelling units. There's a nice mix of housing options from single family to multifamily, multiple senior communities, and mobile home parks. Senior homes are part of the single family total dwelling unit count of 14,655. So those 14,655 units are squeezed together within our 6 square mile city limits that you can see there. But from this map, you can see that the affordable housing is spread out all over the city. And that's all those colored areas. In fact, about 16% of our housing stock is affordable. If you count our senior housing in this number, then the affordability increases to almost 25%. The city has 251 deed restricted ownership units and over 2,000 affordable rental units. 2,000 of the housing authority's 3,500 Section 8 vouchers for Santa Cruz County residents are being used for housing in Watsonville. The affordable housing stock that exists today is in large part due to the fact the city adopted an affordable housing ordinance in 1991, over 30 years ago. So the affordable housing ordinance was last updated in 2001 and applies to all the housing developments in the city. It also sets income limits, requires in lieu fees for developments with less than 7 units, and provides incentives for affordable housing development, such as streamlined project review and low interest loans. Okay, so as we look at this map, and we see in the last few years, the city has approved 8 major housing developments spread throughout the city. 3 of these projects, Miles Lane, 1482 Freedom, which we broke ground on today, and Pippin 2, which is in the county, are all 100% affordable. The remaining developments will contain 15 to 20% of the units in the development for affordable families. If we go back to 5 or 6 years ago, we also approved Blackbird Townsend Homes, which were 48 units. The Terrace at 445 Main Street, there were 54 units there. And Pippin Phase 1 through 46 units, that's another 148 units. We include Pippin 2 because it's adjacent to the city. And will be provided with city services, and the city will most likely be annexing the development into our city limits once the project is complete. You can see where they all are. Thank you, Susie. Housing highlights. Wow, our housing is goal number 1 of the city's 21-23 strategic plan. We are focused on continuing to remove barriers to qualify affordable housing and to create new opportunities to build more housing to meet our current and future housing needs. Over the last year, we've worked to expand our housing programs, including applications for state funding for an ADU loan program. We have a state rental assistance. 832 applications were submitted, 514 households were served, and over 4 million paid to Watsonville residents. The additional dwelling units, the ADUs, in 21, we had 59 ADU applications received, and in 22, 21 ADU applications were received. Local renter assistance. Thus far, we have 285,000 paid out. For whatever reason, we're not eligible for state rental assistance and focused on extremely low income families. So immigration status, working with different identities, couldn't confirm identity, or people subletting rooms, and then DACA recipients. So moving on with financial assistance, for the first time home buyer loans, we've had different funding sources. Gap financing can combine programs to help low and moderate income families buy their first homes. Landlord incentive programs through our housing authority, a program that provides funding to landlords to pay for any damage that a Section 8 tenant may cause to the property. This is an attempt to remove the stigma attached to renting to low income residents. What we're working on in order to comply with the recent state regulatory changes, staff is working on regulations to support SB 9, which allows for lot splits to create up to 4 parcels in a single family residential zone, as well as SB 35 streamlining to fast track affordable housing projects. ADU loan program guidelines to provide loans to develop additional dwelling units. In mid-2019, the city of Watsonville initiated a specific plan for downtown Watsonville that is intended to establish a clear vision for the future of downtown Watsonville. The downtown Watsonville specific plan will build on the historic origins of the downtown area, celebrating the historic buildings, community events, and open spaces, while harnessing new ideas, investments, and innovation. The specific plan will knit together the historic downtown with adjacent industrial and residential areas to create walkable, complete neighborhoods with a mix of retail and services, amenities, employment uses, and residential buildings that help to activate downtown throughout the day and into the evening, 7 days a week. That's the plan. So as we move forward, and this is slide, is this slide 8? Yes, this is. Successful public participation is important. We're going to talk about How are we going to get folks participating? Because a diverse cross-section of the population can be engaged in defining the housing problem and in crafting solutions that work for everyone in the city. The sixth cycle housing element is pushing cities to create an engagement process that has broad participation and true engagement in order to gain support for new housing strategies and new housing developments. Cities are tasked with reaching all economic sectors of the community, and our outreach plan will include the following: utility bill newsletters, ads in the local newspaper and media pages and websites, outreach at special events, our farmers market, online meetings, outreach at other meetings, basically going where the people go. We're not just creating a new meeting, we're going to where they are. Online surveys, and working this summer with high school interns to develop a youth outreach and engagement plan. And I know we're really pretty excited about that. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Mayor Parker. Mr. Landry, Ms. Merriman, do you have anything to add?
No, I think Ari did a great job. She said it
Nailed
all.
it. Great. Awesome. Well, thank you so much to Mayor Parker, and love that outreach that you'll be doing for the housing element. Those are some great innovative ideas that I haven't heard of before. So next we go from one major city in the south to the major city in the north, and with city of Santa Cruz. Former Mayor Martine Watkins, she has served on the city council since 2016 and as mayor in 2019. She is currently vice mayor and also works as a senior community organizer for this Santa Cruz County Office of Education, and is a champion of the Health in All Policies movement. Jessica DeWitt is the Housing and Community Development Division Manager with the city of Santa Cruz, and previously worked professionally in nonprofit affordable housing developer. Her most important role was teaching me all she knew about housing when I was her intern back in the day. So Jessica, Martine, go for it.
Well, thank you so much for having us. Can you guys hear me okay? My internet. Okay, great. I am just really honored to be here with you all. And I'm going to give it to, since it's straight talk on housing, I'm going to give the straight talk part. And then I'm going to have Jessica go through some of the work that we're doing and the progress that we have, as well as our housing element plans. You know, when I first entered the public service arena and ran for city council, it was a very contentious time. And it was a lot of conversation around housing development. It was issues and concern and controversy over our corridors plan, and a lot of discussion and controversy over rent control. Needless to say, what I learned was that our community cares deeply about affordable housing, cares deeply about housing solutions, and had differing opinions that were sometimes very polarizing, to a point that at times I think Don could probably relate to this, that can almost bring us to a halt or a standstill. And so my first sort of entry into this work was really through our Housing Blueprint Subcommittee, which took place during Mayor Chase's year as mayor. And one of the things that really rooted in was community engagement and outreach, and listening to our community and helping inform also about some of the regulations and constraints within our jurisdictional oversight. And what came out of that subcommittee is really thinking about how are we looking at housing preservation, including preserving our current affordable housing, as well as affordable housing units by design, housing production, and what does that look like? And then our community vitality. And it was referenced in regards to the health and all policies work that I think really does embrace the community vitality component. So we then came forward with a number of recommendations, including ADU policies. It was referenced around our downtown development, really hearing from our community. If we were going to be really looking at density, we want to make sure it's in our downtown. So it really led to our downtown plan expansion. Although some of the developers might not agree, we did also incorporate a childcare developer impact fee, which then leads to the community vitality elements of looking at the holistic components of what affordability means for families. It's not only what you're paying for housing, but it's also all of the other costs associated with living in this community. Looking at tenant resources and supporting our renters, how are we leveraging our city-owned land to the best of our ability? And then naturally, how are we optimizing our funding availability and resources? So I will leave it there. I'm going to hand it over to Jessica. She's going to jump into all the various progress we've made, as well as some of the things that are in our pipeline, as well as the housing element. So Jessica, take it away.
Thanks. Good evening, everyone. This is just a fun photo from last week. We had a groundbreaking for our Pacific Station South project. So just something we wanted to share. Okay, so recent progress. So as I mentioned, Pacific Station South broke ground last week. That is 100% affordable units, including studios, 1 bedrooms, 2s, and 3 bedrooms. So it's a family style apartment building. We also are breaking ground in the next few days on Cedar Street Family Apartments, which is a 65 unit, 100% affordable mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. So we're excited about that. That's some of our progress that we're working on as far as building affordable housing. We've also recently been working on updates to our inclusionary ordinance. Some of those updates included increasing the inclusionary requirement from 15% to 20%. We also were looking at ways to promote using Section 8 vouchers, so tenant-based vouchers through the housing authority. So we have some alternative methods for meeting the inclusionary by incentivizing using tenant-based vouchers. We also were working with the school district and other employers in the area on how we can focus on employer-sponsored housing that may not meet the exact requirements of the inclusionary requirement of the city, but can help with promoting workforce housing in the city. So those are some of the things we're working on with our inclusionary ordinance. Then as far as the RENA cycle goes for this current cycle, we are actually on track to meet all of our units for all of the income categories. We're just down to the VLI, the very low income category. And with these next couple developments that I was just talking about, we are on track to meet all of our goals by 2023. So we are definitely excited about that. So what do we think are some ways we can, have some successes? So this is sort of a recipe for success of things that have been working for us at the city. I'm going to let you kind of roll down some of these, but we have three city initiated projects in the pipeline right now. We have at least a few others in our minds right now for how we're going to move forward. And they're mostly following this recipe for success. In terms of the city being able to leverage land that we've been able to assemble and acquire, then partnering with experienced affordable developers, and then together going after funding competitively. And we've had some great successes recently, and here are some of them. So we've been recently awarded $29.6 million from the State Housing and Community Development, Affordable Housing and Sustainable Communities, big mouthful here. It's called ASIC as the acronym, as well as $20.9 million for infrastructure infill grants. So both of those will help fund some of the upcoming projects that we have in the downtown that are affordable, as well as funding the infrastructure surrounding that area, so that it will go not only towards funding the development of the housing, it will also go towards funding infrastructure like traffic and stormwater improvements, redevelopment of our Metro downtown transit facility, which is the major transit hub in the region, public paseos, bike paths, our rail trail. So we're super excited about these grants. In addition, we were awarded $1 million from the EPIC grant, which is put on by the California Energy Commission. And those monies will go towards helping with the PV solar array at our Metro Transit facility that's being redeveloped. All right, so what else do we have in the pipeline here? These are just a couple projects that we're highlighting for you. But overall, we have over 800 affordable homes in the pipeline. Excited to say that will come online in the next few years. Just this year, we have 223 affordable homes that were approved out of 519 homes. So that's 43% of our housing this year that was approved was for affordable homes. So you can see here, we have a couple on the horizon. That Pacific Station North is the sister project to Pacific Station South that just broke ground last week. And that's 100% affordable, 95 units, family style project. Downtown Library is another one coming online that's over 100 units. I'm not sure if I'm running out of time. I'm going to keep going. So then we have how are we planning to meet our next RHNA cycle, which is a big jump. So to accommodate growth for the RHNA, we're analyzing zoning changes for increased height and density to expand the downtown south of Laurel Avenue. And I appreciate the call out from the county earlier on the downtown specific plan. That definitely did help set the stage for us to be able to get a lot of these housing projects off the ground. So we're hoping this downtown expansion plan will also help move the needle for our RHNA goals.
Jessica, sorry to interrupt, but we're close to the end of time here.
Okay, almost there. So you can see blue is what we did over the last RHNA. Orange is where we have to get to. You can see the miles we've got to climb. Here's where the numbers for the next RHNA cycle, which you can see are a huge climb. And then here's one of our future affordable housing sites. It's the Tannery. Go check it out. Caltrans, we're working with them on trying to acquire land, but we're hoping for a mixed use affordable housing project there. And housing element, please participate. We have a huge community engagement process going on with that. So that's it. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Santa Cruz. Next up, we have the city of Scotts Valley, and we representing the city are two council members. Donna Lynn has served on the Scotts Valley Council since 2008 and is now serving as mayor. And she served for decades in many public service roles in the city of Scotts Valley, including being a police dispatcher and a police sergeant. And Councilmember Derek Tim, has served on the council since 2018, served as mayor in 2021, and currently serves as a member of the City Council's Affordable Housing Committee. He's a real estate professional and also a leader in mobilizing support for Scotts Valley Public Schools. Welcome, Scotts Valley.
Thank you, Don. And having Derek here, having served on the Affordable Housing Commission, he's going to take our PowerPoint, but I'll just start with, the city incorporated in 1966 with 4.6 square miles, and we have 9 mobile home parks in the city, and many of those, all of those except, I would say probably Montevalli would fall under our affordable housing, and it's been a struggle for the city of Scotts Valley, as all of us have struggled, and we are challenged with the upcoming RHNA numbers, and I'm going to just hand it off to Derek Tim with what we've accomplished so far, and particularly appreciate Taylor. Our Community Development Director, Taylor Bateman, is here as well in case we need some backup, but he's been helpful in preparing the information with us. So Derek?
Thank you, Mayor Lind. I just wanted to appreciate all the people here today who put this on, Lookout, and of course, Housing Santa Cruz County. And you're doing such good work. I'm very envious hearing what other jurisdictions are putting together right now. A lot of great work. And of course, for our county, there's so much going on in affordable housing and such a strong need. I work in, as Don Lane said, I work in the real estate industry, and housing has only gotten extremely more expensive in the last couple of years. And this is an urgent need for us to address as a community. Scotts Valley itself, just some quick stats, as Donna Lynn mentioned, as our Mayor Lynn mentioned, we're a small city. We're only 4.6 square miles, and we have a population of about 12,200 people. And within that, we have about 4,600 housing units now. And almost our entire community development staff is here, which is one person. We recently hired a second person, but we're also, despite being a relatively affluent community, our city is the least funded in the county. And so we have a very small budget that we work with, and there's a lot of bootstrapping that happens in our city to make things happen. This is our map of Scotts Valley, and it lays out our zoning. And within that 4.6 miles, you can see the blue highlights here are our open space areas, which we are very proud of. And I know share those with the rest of the county. And a lot of the green that you see is our housing area in our city. And the dark green represents some of the hillsides. We are valley, and that black line running down the middle is Highway 17. So we're a small city, but we do mighty things there, happy to say. And so when you start talking about household incomes and inclusionary levels in Scotts Valley, we are, like I said, fortunate to have pretty high income. So a lot of people can qualify for our programs in our city. The low income starts at, for very low, 48,000, up to moderate for a single person of 94. And as a family of three, you can see you can still qualify for our affordable housing programs with an income of 120,850 a year. That's our current income levels as of last year. A summary of our current inventory right now of below market rate housing. Now, a lot of this was developed in Scotts Valley under the former redevelopment funds that we got from the state. And you can see we have 84 low-income rental units in town with the various mixes that are laid out there on the screen. And then we have a total of 50 for sale units that are part of our inclusionary program for a total of 134 units in town. But we have some lofty goals ahead. And so this is where we laid out during our last RHNA cycle. The RHNA cycle had laid out zoning of 140 units total in our area, broken down between the different various income levels. I'm proud to say that our city did deliver on the total number of units. They produced 183 of the 140 that were requested. However, the production on moderate, low, and very low was not in line with the expectations that were set by the RHNA numbers. And I would say that, you know, there's a lack of funding there that goes along with RHNA. So you're relying on developers, as we all know, to produce those income units that fall in inclusionary. So what are we doing to help improve those numbers in the coming RHNA cycle? And what other things are we working on? This is a new project that was just approved. This will be, they broke ground on this past week. And this is called the Encore project. It's a small unit project. We've got 16 units here. We did work with the developer to get 2 low units. And then with the remainder left over, the city may be working with them to buy down and get into the very low category as well, or buy into additional affordable units in town. This is Polo Ranch. We have 6 condominium units that are going in right now as part of the inclusionary being built. And you can see those are a very nice product, and those are going to be available and are actually going through the process right now of finding home ownership for those. As far as our what we're doing as a city, we've been working on the expansion of our inclusionary boundary. In Scotts Valley, our inclusionary boundary has always followed the jurisdictional boundaries of our former redevelopment area. So that was the only area in town where developers were required to produce affordable. Despite that, the city council would hold them to the same numbers of the 15% requirement, but it allowed developers to haggle on that. So we've been working on an expansion of that. And I think we're very near completion on finalizing that expansion of our inclusionary boundary area to the jurisdictional limits of the city. Additionally, we have been working on with the updates in state law, updating our ADU ordinance, and also working within the additional updates, trying to come into compliance with current ADU statutes. And that we're excited about because we do see that as a really potential way to bring in more affordable housing within Scotts Valley. We're implementing our community development department's implementing new software to make it more efficient. We're working with a grant we received from the state on that. And that's going to allow us to really speed the process of development in town for developers, and also allow staff easier access to data as it's coming in, and really tracking throughout the process at our city, which right now, we're working off paper copies and just transitioning, but from fax. I mean, it's really, it's been old school at the city of Scotts Valley. So we're excited to see that software coming in. And I know our community development director is as well. We're also getting ready to start the update on our housing element. We're in the middle of beginning that RFP process right now. So you'll see that kicking off shortly. And that will allow us to take that process on, and we're looking forward to the community input. We're just finishing up our general plan, which we did an update on, and the last time that was updated was in 1994. So we're excited to have an update there. But that process, we brought in about 1,100 different survey responses as we were looking at what people wanted to see in Scotts Valley, and we're hoping to have as robust a process with our new housing element as we go through and update that. Additionally, this is a list, and I don't know if everyone can see this, but this is a list of projects that are in process, approved, and also projects we have under review. And so as you can see at the top, we have quite a few projects that are in process right now. And a number of townhomes. We have the large Polo Ranch project, which was hung up in litigation for a number of years. But if you haven't been by to see it, that features a number of townhomes, which you probably see built near the freeway. But then there's 40 homes that sit back behind that neighborhood across a small bridge. It's really beautiful, and it's something to behold out there. And that also allowed us to get additional affordable units built as part of that project. And those are the ones that I pointed out earlier. We have 25 townhomes plus a 5,000 square foot commercial that was recently completed, as well as the Terrace project, which just finished selling there. And we had, happy to say, I believe a teacher at Cabrillo bought one of, as well as a local teacher. They were both able to buy affordable units in that project. So it was really working towards our goals of getting people who live here and work here housed in our community. And then additionally, we have projects that have been approved. I showed you the Encore project. We have another project of duet units on Erba Lane. But really the big focus for our town is a number of major projects that are under consideration right now. There's a Valley Gardens project, which those of you that used to play the Valley Gardens 9-hole course, I know Mayor Lind is an avid golfer, and she's walked that course probably hundreds of times. That's currently in process, looking at the potential for development, and it's being proposed 190 unit project plus a commercial area up front near Mount Herman Road. Additionally, up by the Hilton in Scotts Valley, which sits at the Mount Herman exit, there's a Gateway South project that they're looking at doing 180 room hotel plus 182 units of housing and a commercial space there as well. That's also in the application phase. Another major project on the corner of Glen Canyon, that's a 52 apartment complex, and that also features a commercial development as well. And I don't know, it looks like it's cut off here at the bottom, but one of our major other pieces that's in process right now is our town center. And that's been a long-term dream of Scotts Valley, but that composes 250 units, and there's a large set aside in there for approximately 50 affordable units within that project as well, which the land has been purchased through our former redevelopment agency, and it is awaiting development. And I'm actually excited to see members of Santa Cruz here because we're working with them on, there's been a cleanup required in that area from some of our, I would say the dry cleaner on the former Kmart site, which caused some cleanup necessary. And so we've been working through that process so that project can actually move forward. So that's a lot of what we were working on in Scotts Valley. I'm happy to kick it over to Mayor Lynn for any final comments.
Thank you, Derek, and Taylor both. And one thing that we did, Mayor Legault and Yvette Brooks from Capitola and I attended the League of California Cities Summit, Leaders Summit, and met with Don Lane. We met with legislators. We met with John Laird for approximately 45 minutes with the Monterey District members and advocated particularly for funding, but particularly for housing, and asked for $500 million on the $100 billion surplus that the state has with the expectations and the need and crisis for housing. We, really tried to provide a lot of information on the need for that support to be able to get our developers and our contractors to provide some incentives to be able to accomplish the goals that have been given all of us. So hopefully there were over 100 cities represented, and hopefully we made a difference, we'll hope.
Thank you so much, Mayor Lind and Councilmember Tim, for all the information that you shared and your advocacy. So we're going to move on, and I'm going to tell the public to bear with us. We're running about 10 minutes behind, so we hope to get to some questions here, but you'll have to stick around a little bit longer. And Mayor Lind and Councilmember Tim, if you have any more additional information, you can please share that on the chat. Okay, moving on to our last city by the water, the city of Capitola. And we have Sam Storey with us, who has served 3 terms on the Capitola City Council and is currently serving as our mayor. He led the Community Bridges organization in Santa Cruz for many years and is now practicing law when city businesses allows him some time. And then we also have Brian Freilich, is the senior planner at the city of Capitola. He has split his career between public sector planning and the private sector as a development project manager. Brian begins a rounded view to projects and understands the constraints and pressures that. So with that, take it away, Capitola.
Well, thank you. I think Mayor Storey was going to lead this, and I was going to chime in the middle. Mayor Storey.
Yes, thank you, Diana, and thank you, Don. Thanks for having us. We'll just get into it to hopefully help you catch up on your timing. But go on to the next slide, Brian. Yeah, I think we wanted to start out with some context and just let everybody know Capitola is a small community, just 1.7 square miles, but within that, we have packed in, 5,400 housing units, and 60% of those are multifamily, 54% are renter-occupied housing units, and we have 8 mobile home parks within our 1.7 square miles, making up 705 units. So Capitola has the highest density in Santa Cruz County. We've been able to achieve that because of redevelopment. But it's an old saying in Capitola where we're completely built out. So anything new development is going to all be infill development. Since the loss of redevelopment, actually the activity in the market has actually slowed down for us in combination with the pandemic and then with accelerating housing prices over the past few years. There has not been a lot of development activity, and particularly for multifamily units. And so go ahead, Brian. Recently, just last year, we reviewed and updated our inclusionary ordinances. We retained the 15% for new developments of 7 or more. We added a $6 a square foot for rental units, and we included an in lieu option of $25 a square foot hoping that that would help us build our housing trust fund. But however, since there's been very little development, we have not been able to utilize these particularly policy initiatives. The other, we also added a, go ahead to the next slide, Brian. We did add a new impact fee. We did a nexus study and included an impact fee for developments that may be less than 7 units of $25 a square foot. The goal is hopefully helping us to build up our affordable housing budget in Capitola. Go ahead, Brian. We do have developed, new bonus incentives for developments that provide affordable housing. We allow greater double floor area ratios for affordable housing that developers may come in. And go ahead, Brian. We've also developed some ADU templates, which homeowners in Capitola may be able to use. These allow them to have accelerated permit approvals and lower administrative fees. And then go ahead, Brian. And then we've also created these guides for homeowners to be able to help them, navigate, the development, the design, and the approval of their potential ADUs. And this is just a chart, when the ADUs first came in, it was slow seeing them being utilized and built, but you notice it's over the years, the numbers are starting to pick up. And there's an upward trend. We hope to continue that pattern moving into the future. Go ahead, Brian. Multifamily developments, we have not seen them. As I said, we have not seen significant numbers of them in the past few years. I do understand, though, that there is a new 36-unit all affordable housing coming in near the mall. We look forward to receiving their application, and hopefully it will arrive soon. And I just, I think for us, the success of being able to develop affordable housing in Capitola really requires a significant and strong public-private partnership. And those are the kind of partnerships that we had under redevelopment. The city was able to participate with private developers, and particularly with the nonprofit sector, which I think is uniquely aligned to be able to help us achieve our affordable housing goals. But using those funds, and in the past, we have converted almost all the mobile home parks, except for one, to either nonprofit owned and controlled, or resident owned or controlled. We developed the Bay Avenue Senior Apartments using those funds. And we did just a little success. The Castle Mobile Home Park, the nonprofit paid off their loan to us in the amount of about $2 million. So those are funds that we're going to be able to repurpose into new affordable housing projects if we can just have them come aboard in Capitola. And there may be some possibilities, which I think Brian is going to speak to now. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Storey. So what's next, and some current events from staff perspective. Our SB 9 ordinance, after about 6 or 8 months, is going to City Council for a second read tomorrow night. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out in the real world, especially with smaller lots. But we've done a lot of we've mapped it out and done a lot of adjacency planning, and we're ready to implement this starting in July. This will give us a good tool for creating more density in the single family zone. And then alongside of that, we have the SB 35, SB 330 objective design standards also going for a second read. So these are both on track to give us some real good tools for multifamily mixed use, and then the SB 9 with single family going live in July. When we look to the 6th cycle housing element update, we've got basically Exhibit A for Capitola for an opportunity site in the mall. We've actually just signed our consultant, and we're kicking off in June. And we won't be able to fall back on the ADU program, so we'll be probably re-looking at this site through a different lens. In the pre-COVID era, we were the developer was in a pre-application phase with us, and had actually taken some concepts to Planning Commission and Council with a renovated lifestyle destination kind of center. And they were looking at 15 to 20% affordable units in the 600 to 700 unit range. We'll probably be looking at maybe increased heights or density even on this site when they were at 5 or 6 stories before. And then there was some mention about a project that's just about to submit. So this is a pretty good a sneak preview of this project, 36 units. This is all affordable. This is right on the cusp. We understand that financing's in place, and developer didn't really want us to share much more detail than this, but it is a real project. And then just a quick look at our RENA numbers.
We do need to wrap up real quick here, Brian. So go ahead, finish this. But
yeah, I'm going to transition it back. And just the point is, as I mentioned about the ADUs, we need to look at other strategies. So robust, early, front-loaded outreach is going to be critical when we engage with our consultant. And then Mayor Storey, this was our last slide.
Yeah, and as Brian mentioned, we are kicking off our 6th cycle housing element, and there are going to be multiple opportunities and for the public to be engaged. We're going to set up some committees. There will be public hearings. We'll have an online survey. We'll do open houses. And everyone can keep updated on the progress on our website, and that will be taking place, through the end of this year and into 2023. So that's the update from Capitola on housing. Thank you, Don.
all right, Sam, thank you so much. Brian, thank you so much. And we really especially look forward to hearing more about the work at Capitola Mall. What an incredible opportunity that could be for affordable housing in our county. So moving right along, we are so excited to have our panelists from UC Santa Cruz. Mark de los Reyes Davis was appointed Vice Chancellor for University Relations at UCSC in the summer of 2020. He previously served in leadership roles at Carnegie Mellon and Rice Universities. He's joined by Jolie Kerns, who was appointed UCSC's Director of Physical and Environmental Planning in 2019. Jolie is an experienced licensed architect, lead certified professional, and skilled leader in large-scale institutional projects and campus planning. She has nearly 25 years of professional experience and has been at UCSC for 8 years. So welcome.
Thanks, Don. And of course, thanks to Housing Santa Cruz County, Lookout Local for sponsoring Affordable Housing Month, and of course, this event this evening. We bring greetings from Chancellor LaRive and other colleagues at the university. The Chancellor had a previously planned university commitment tonight and could not be here. We believe great communities advance great universities, and great universities advance great communities. It is our belief that our aspirations and future are forever intertwined. While there are many connections and collaborations, my colleague Jolie Kerns and I are here today to provide a general overview of the university's housing plans. We currently house 50% of our students on campus. While this is one of the highest percentages in the UC system, it's not high enough. Our efforts to build more on-campus housing continue in earnest. To meet the commitments of our land development plan, we are developing a 10-year housing plan with a project ladder that at all times has projects in the planning, proposal, or construction stage. This will allow us to move on to another project if one is delayed and continuously deliver beds to meet our goals. In the meantime, we are making real progress right now with Kresge College Renewal Project, which Jolie will discuss in more detail. As many of you know, we had a 3,000 bed project that would serve our current students, stalled since 2019 because of litigation. The courts continued to rule in favor of the university, and in some instances, opponents have agreed to dismiss their case. There is no question that the project is needed and that the university is lawfully permitted to build housing on the sites identified in the project. The crux of the issue is that some individuals don't like the location where housing will be built or are concerned that building housing will adversely affect the campus aesthetics. They have used their voices to stall the project by challenging it in court. Any change is certainly difficult. We love our campus for its extraordinary beauty, and each part of the campus has its own advocates. There is a constant, delicate balance of trying to satisfy everyone's preferences while addressing real, immediate issues. Individuals who attend universities often believe the time when they were there was when the institutions were at their peak, and of course, worse before and certainly after. The reality is that institutions need to evolve to address the needs of the students of today and tomorrow. We would have new beds on campus right now if we didn't have the delays caused by these lawsuits. We are confident that this project will eventually move forward. Much of our current work may not be as visible. Our campus has numerous programs and services in place to help students navigate Santa Cruz housing market. Among them, an emergency housing assistance through a program called Slug Support, a partnership with a local hotel to provide housing for some graduate students, renters workshops, online roommate and community rental boards, and free legal services related to off-campus housing issues. University leadership is committed to moving forward and advancing the progress of campus housing. Jolie.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to share tonight. These slides. There we go. So in September 2021, our new land use plan was approved by the regents. The campus is a bit different than cities and counties in that every UC campus is required to have a land use plan, which serves as our regulatory document to guide how we develop the campus and utilize our land. Compliance with our LRDP is one of the first steps in implementing housing projects. The 2021 plan will be in effect for the next 20 years through 2040. It covers 2,000 acres of the main residential campus and the 18 acres of the West Side Research Park. For residential space, the plan commits to housing 100% of new student on-campus enrollment FTE above 19,500. 19,500 was the outer envelope planned for in the previous LRDP, and our current enrollment is still under that. And then it also includes housing 25% of new employees based on demand. This translates to 8,500 new student beds and 550 employee units or beds over the next 20 years. The plan also includes an integrated transportation strategy to promote a walkable campus and utilities master plans that establish a framework for resilience and climate adaptive strategies. The mobility and infrastructure planning on our campus helps the implementation of housing by ensuring that we continue to build sustainably, equitably, and resourcefully for our students, staff, and faculty. The campus plans a pattern of development that grows from within, where new housing is focused in previously developed areas of campus and maintains adjacencies with existing development, with compact expansion north, including 2 sets of colleges. By building sustainably and efficiently, the plan embraces density to maximize investments in the land. This allows the campus to pull on existing utilities networks, including circulation infrastructure, to support new facilities, as well as preserve the integrity of campus landscapes, respect major natural features, and minimize disturbance to open space. Zooming in here a little bit on the plan, approximately 277 acres are designated for student housing. This capacity would be used for the campus's commitment to house 100% of new student FTE. The housing clusters colleges together and expands the ring around the academic core and provides housing in a variety of types for undergrads, grads, in colleges and non-college housing. Employee housing accounts for approximately 82 acres and this capacity would provide housing for the 25% of new employees that I mentioned, which is approximately 550 units. These would include a variety of housing types, townhomes, apartment style buildings, and some single family homes. A mixed use designation was also introduced with this plan down at the Westside Research Park in recognition of the evolving nature of the surrounding area and to allow the development of other program opportunities in addition to research, including employee housing, to create a diverse, vibrant, and active site. The plan provides capacity for approximately 2.5 million assignable square feet of residential space over the next 20 years. Our current planning includes multiple housing projects of moderate scale, from new development to infill construction, to meet these goals. In addition to the need for new housing, the campus is also addressing major maintenance and seismic upgrades on existing facilities. We currently have about 9,400 student beds and 270 employee units. For employee units, one unit is equivalent or accounted as sort of one bed, but of course would accommodate our broader definitions of a family housing more than just one person. So we'd like to just talk through a couple projects that are already in the pipeline. The Kresge Renewal Project has recently expanded to nearly double the housing from its original design, from 550 beds to now almost 1,000 beds. This project is under construction, and I'll share a couple photos of that in the following slides. In addition to what Mark had noted, the Student Housing West project continues to be a priority for the campus. It was approved in 2019, currently held up in a lawsuit, but with repeated wins in court, the campus's intent to build this project. It would deliver 3,000 beds for undergrads, grads, and students with families, along with a childcare center. And then we have a major maintenance project in the early planning stages for one of our colleges, Oaks. And we are currently in the planning phase for employee housing projects on campus. We wanted to take a moment to share the expanded housing in the Kresge Renewal Project. The project builds newly constructed housing and academic facilities around the periphery of the college on an 8-acre site, and then renovates and reconstructs the existing college. Those buildings are shown in a little bit kind of bolder outline here at the bottom. The project has 2 phases in order to allow ongoing operations of the college during construction. The first, which includes 400 beds and 3 residential halls. These will be complete in 2023. And phase 2 includes nearly 600 student beds in renovated and reconstructed buildings. This will be complete in 2025. We're sharing a quick rendering of these, which really kind of shows the type of housing that we plan on building under the LRDP in the next 20 years. Denser, able to kind of utilize investments in the site with circulation and utility networks. You're seeing here a 7-story building with new cafe and student amenities so that they have that campus life support on campus. We're also, as part of the project, building out a newly accessible pedestrian bridge. We're actually raising the pedestrian bridge that was there before so that we have an accessible connection from the campus core to the west side of campus in this area, which will support future housing projects as well. Here you can see the new residential halls under construction, 5 stories above ground, 1 to 2 stories below. They use cross-laminated timber, are all electric, and we've expanded a non-potable water system so that we dual plumb all of these buildings so that toilets and irrigation can use non-potable water and reduce the demand we put on our potable water system. Finally, just to address kind of participation in the planning process, the campus had a robust engagement process with the land use plan, with multiple community open houses, the formation of a community advisory group for early feedback, and public hearings for environmental review. In the photo on the bottom left, we led a tour on the campus to show community representatives many of the sites under consideration for development under the LRDP. As we roll out the projects that align with our LRDP, we will continue to practice and commit to reaching out to and engaging and soliciting input and feedback from our campus stakeholders in the Santa Cruz community. And then plans and projects also undergo individual environmental review as they're implemented. So with an opportunity for the public to provide comments at multiple points during this process. That's all we've got.
Thank you so much, UCSC. Mark and Jolie, that was great. And I can't wait to see all the improvements on Kresge. And I hope to see the owl's nest come back. That was my favorite. So moving on, we're going to have some questions here, and we're going to give the floor back to Mark, who has a question already set up.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to hand it to Grace Stepson, who has joined us, our affordability reporter. She's been listening, and I think she's got one first for our UCSC folks.
Hi, everyone. I'm faceless. I'm sorry. I think for UCSC, we've seen a lot of concern regarding the timelines for developing housing at UC. And I'm wondering if there are any specific bills right now that are helping to move housing development forward faster for students, faculty, and staff.
I think in implementing housing, given our environmental conditions, sometimes our funding constraints, we leverage multiple funding streams often to build housing. The flexibility in how we implement is always kind of necessary for our planning. We obviously don't build one bed for each student that is enrolled. We build in much kind of larger projects. One thing with the Kresge project is we have an application for state funding, and we're hoping that the state funding that is eligible for supporting housing projects will allow us to kind of leverage our funds even further. But that is one thing that is potentially helping to deliver housing faster.
And Mark, I think we had one additional question regarding the Capitola Mall redevelopment program, or redevelopment plan, excuse me. We are wondering, what is the vision for making that redevelopment project valuable and available to people countywide? Obviously, that is a huge site and would give a lot of needed housing units to the area. What is that going to look like in connecting that to the county needs as a whole?
Well, that project will come under a development agreement. When it comes in, I just want to emphasize that they have not resubmitted their application yet. That's Marlon Geyer is the new owner. And when it is developed, it's going to be the units are going to be, I think open for application from anyone. That may want to apply and would qualify. So I don't think there's no particular thought yet of restricting it to particularly Capitola residents. And so I think that it would serve the greater needs of housing, throughout Santa Cruz County. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that was great. I'm going to throw out one last one. I will lob over to Suzanne and Manu. The ResFlex district is an interesting project, and I wonder what sort of feedback you guys have gotten at this point from community there, and what stage that's in, and how that will progress.
I can start unless, okay. Yeah, I can speak. We've had a number of community outreach meetings on the draft plan so far. I have not been part of all of those, but I have attended the ones that deal most with housing and development within the urban areas. And it was very interesting to see the responses and comments on that so far. It's kind of what you might expect, where you have some folks who are residents in the area sounding a little hesitant about embracing the concept. And then from the developer side, folks are like, well, why stop at 45 units an acre? Why not 60 or, I don't know, pick a number. So I would say the comments so far have been the full range of reactions that you might expect to a change like this. It is a very significant change for the county. Since 1994, our highest density range has had a maximum of 17.4 units to the acre. So going from that to 45 is significant. In fact, this is an entirely new category in our residential, land use categories. But the plan only proposes it, at least for now, it's only proposed to be applied to this limited group of properties, although having the category created will be a very important tool for us to draw on when we do go into the housing element update cycle.
Anything you wanted to add, Manu?
Sure. As you and I've discussed, Mark, particularly in the Pleasure Point area, folks are understandably protective of the old surf ghetto vibe, and it's made it a really desirable place to live. And given that in the sustainability update, the rezonings on Portola are really just one of a few spots where we're actually identifying a place on a map. That naturally is as always a lightning rod that people are going to react to. That's the whole reason why we have this crisis in the first place and why we're here, is because the history of housing in our community is that neighbors have pushed back and been very protective. I think that in the long run, we'll be able to get there as far as, especially looking at some of the design guidelines that we're rolling out along with the sustainability update. And I think we'll be able to get there as far as seeing these rezonings as a chance to bring greater vibrancy to the area. As a side, one of the things I realized when we did the Portola pop-up project is that there's just not enough commercial street front in Portola for it to really make sense yet, to transform the streetscape that way. And so hopefully as we see some new residential, we'll also see better use of the commercial space. And like I said, just more vibrancy in the area. And that's what the community spoke to as far as the vision for the Portola corridor, is wanting that. Of course, one step at a time, and it's always a little scary to take that next step.
Tricky stuff you guys are all embarking upon, and good on you all for taking this difficult task on. I think we'll wrap up. Thank you to Don and Diana for and Housing Santa Cruz County for coming up with this great concept and wrangling all you great officials and staff here tonight. I think it was super beneficial, and you guys are doing great work. So keep it up. And to anybody left in the audience who might have some questions they didn't get to ask, hit us up at news@lookoutlocal.com. And we've already got many questions, Grace and I and others who will be coming back at all these fine people in the coming days and weeks. But we would love to hear from more and get everything out there and talked about. That's how we get progress. So good night, everybody. Thanks.
Mark?
Thank you.
Hey, Mark, we did have some closing remarks as Housing Santa Cruz County. So Don, can you take it away?
Sure. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Diana. We just want to join Mark in thanking the presenters. What a terrific bunch of good work, and also just a great presentation for the community tonight. Please keep up that great good work. And for people joining and watching, you've done a really good job. Part of your job as good citizens to watch this and learn tonight, but don't forget you have another job, which is to stay engaged. We have a lot of work ahead of us. Keep talking to your neighbors and your elected officials about how we can make more progress so we have a thriving community. Diana.
Yeah, and to add to that, there's a new California dream that's become clear in recent years with everything that's been going on. It's related to the American dream, but with a California twist. The California dream is one of an inclusive, hopeful future that's open to people from a variety of backgrounds and all walks of life. Every Californian has a right to a decent place to live, regardless of race or income. So they can be part of our shared future. And that place to live could be in an owned home or a rented home. But either way, a home is a foundation of a good life that still eludes many neighbors here in Santa Cruz County and across the state. So by joining Housing Santa Cruz County, you will be able to make this dream a reality.
Yeah, and whether you stay involved with us at Housing Santa Cruz County or in other ways, please just stay involved. I know some of you still have your phones out, even though you were listening very attentively. Open up that QR code reader, aim it at the screen, and you can find out more about our work and just how to stay involved. There's so much work ahead, and we look forward to working with all of you. And lastly, we want to thank Mark and Ashley from Lookout for a great job of both promoting this event and also just doing the legwork to make it happen today. Thanks so much.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you, guys.